I want to share a quick tip and trick to make sure you have the smoothest underwriting process possible. So, one of the number one things that causes extra paperwork in the pre approval and then underwriting process to be able to close on a home is money. It's cash. Where is it coming from? Where has it been? And where is it supposed to go? So, all of those things during that process are really important because there's a lot of restrictions and underwriting guidelines around cash and your cash assets. So, when you have money in an account, so let's say you are getting direct deposited to your checking account, the money comes in every 2 weeks. Well, you want to put some money in savings. And so you take that money and you put it into your savings account. Well, that's great, right? You're able to budget, you do your thing and you move on, but now you're in the process of wanting to buy a home. And so you take that money from the savings for your down payment, for your earnest money deposit, for anything that includes in the transaction, and you pull it back into your checking account, and then you send that money off. Well, in that case, you've now introduced two accounts that we have to source. Okay, so because there's transfers showing on this account and then transfers in and out from this account as well, we now have to show the paperwork and the bank statements for both of those accounts. So that's a very simple example of how now we need to add extra documentation and paperwork to the process. Also, we're looking at that because, during the process, there might be gaps in those bank statements. There might be other things involved in those bank statements that are cash deposits. And so the more accounts that you have to introduce, because the money is moving around, you have to source and follow the money to make sure it's going to be legal and be able to meet all the lending requirements, underwriting requirements. We have to follow it. So you might introduce something that you only put into your savings and not into your checking. That was a large cash deposit from a safe at the house, or maybe you did a side job and someone paid you cash and you deposited it. Well, if you can't source that, show us where it's from, that it's from work or from something very reasonable, then we're not able to actually use that money. So we don't want to introduce any additional accounts if at all possible. We just want to use what we know is going to work. They have enough money and that we've sourced all the funds in there. There's no large deposits, and then we can use and have a really smooth process. Another reason that we might have to add accounts sometimes to be able to document is because if you have a gift. So oftentimes what people will do is say, hey, my aunt is going to give me a gift. I'm going to use that money for my down payment, and I'm going to use some of that for my earnest money deposit as well. That's the money that you put down as soon as you're under contract so that the sellers agree to take it off of the live market, and you and the sellers are the only ones that can now be in contract. And so if you take money from that gift, put it into your bank account, and then send it to the title company where the earnest money deposit check is due, well, now you've just introduced a huge lump sum cash deposit where we don't know where it's from. That could cause problems depending on which underwriter you're using. So when you're in a process of buying a house, whether it's before, during, or even after in some cases, please reach out to your loan officer. If we're your loan officer, your broker, please reach out to us for the proper steps of how to receive a gift. There's a gift letter, very specific information needs to be on that gift letter signed by you, and then in this case, the aunt, the donor. And if the aunt sends that money directly to title instead of to your account, that can eliminate a lot of problems. So our goal and my job for you as a client and a buyer is to make the process as easy as possible. And the more you move money around in your accounts, the more you have Venmo and Zelle and different places like that having deposits hitting your account, the more trouble it's going to be for you. Unfortunately, the process is set up where it's not as simple as just, hey, I have $10,000 in my bank account. I'm going to use this $10,000 for the purchase. We have to make sure we source that, because if some of that 10,000, maybe 5,000 of it just showed up, we got to know why. And the law is supposed to be there to make sure nobody's money laundering through real estate, right? Somebody doing illegal activity like drug dealing or something of the sort with lots of cash. This is an extreme example, but we're trying to make sure that no illegal money is entering into our housing market. And so following cash is really important. So if we don't have to follow it because you're not moving it, you are going to make the process so much easier on yourself. There's a lot of nuances to how they follow the money and source cash deposits and cash moving transfers. That it is very, very important to make sure you're on top of it and that you have a plan. So if you have a scenario where money is going to be coming in from any direction that is not already the account that you're using, maybe even a co-borrower, somebody else that's going to be on the loan co-signing with you, doesn't matter. All accounts are going to be treated the same for the most part, or at least just think of it that way so that you can have the easiest possible process. So if you are looking to buy a house and you have questions, if something like this you think is raising a couple questions in your brain, reach out. Let me talk to you about your specific scenario. Every situation is different. These are just tips to help make things as smooth as possible. Stop moving money around, or at least have a plan for how to move that money around so that you don't have to do as much homework. Please keep following us for more information, more tips and tricks. And if there's anything we can do to help you in the real estate process, please reach out. We are here to help. Hope you have a great day.